Emily Johnson woke up each morning with a heavy heart. As the sun peeked through her curtains, she felt the familiar weight of self-doubt wrap around her like a thick fog. Getting out of bed felt like a big task, and she often lingered under her blankets, telling herself it was okay to stay hidden. In her small apartment in Richmond, Virginia, the walls seemed to echo her worries. What if I'm not good enough, she often thought. At work, Emily struggled to speak up during meetings. She watched her colleagues share their ideas with confidence, while she sat quietly, hoping no one would notice her hesitation. Each time her boss, Mr. Thompson, asked for input, Emily felt her stomach churn. She imagined what she might say but always pushed those thoughts away. No one wants to hear my ideas, she told herself. This belief kept Emily from shining her light at work. The longer this continued, the more she believed she was stuck in a cycle of negativity, letting self-doubt rule her life. Friends noticed Emily's quietness. They would invite her to outings, hoping to bring joy and laughter back to her life. While she appreciated their kindness, Emily felt uncomfortable in social settings. Each time, she would smile weakly and wonder why she couldn't enjoy herself like everyone else. As the days turned into weeks, she realized her dreams of advancing in her career or enjoying life felt increasingly distant. Emily's potential lay dormant, like a beautiful flower waiting to blossom, trapped inside a pot too small. One chilly afternoon, Emily decided to take a different route home from work. The usual path felt too familiar, and she wanted to escape her routine for just a bit. As she walked down Main Street, she noticed a small bookstore with warm lights shining through the window. On a whim, she stepped inside, drawn by the cozy atmosphere and the smell of fresh pages. As she wandered through the aisles, a bright book cover caught her eye. It was titled "Believe in Yourself, A Guide to Confidence." The title struck a chord in Emily's heart. Curiosity pulled her closer, and she picked it up. The cover showed a mountain peak with a sunrise in the background, symbolizing hope. Holding the book, she felt a spark of excitement but also a wave of doubt. Can this really help me? She wondered. She opened the book and began to read. Each page spoke directly to her feelings. The author shared stories of ordinary people who faced their fears and doubts. Emily felt a connection to these stories, seeing bits of herself in the struggles described. One story about a shy woman overcoming her fears to start her own business made Emily gasp quietly. If she can do it, maybe I can too, she thought, yet a part of her pushed back. What if you fail? The whisper in her mind asked, but in that moment, something shifted. The words seemed to reach into her soul and shook her self-doubt. A section of the book urged readers to take small steps towards change, reminding them that progress often comes with discomfort. Emily found herself nodding along. It's okay to feel scared, the author wrote, what matters is how you choose to act. This idea lifted her spirits a little. It felt like a soft light breaking through her cloudy thoughts. Holding the book tightly to her chest, Emily made her way to the checkout counter. She felt a mix of anticipation and fear. What if the book didn't work? What if it was just another empty promise? Still, there was a sliver of hope inside her. She decided to trust in the possibility that this book could help her. Perhaps it could show her a map to a different life. When Emily arrived home, she rushed to her couch and opened the book once more. She soaked in the empowering quotes and simple exercises. One exercise asked readers to write down 3 things they liked about themselves every day. Emily's heart raced at the thought. Could I really do this? She pondered. But deep down, she felt a flutter of excitement. That evening, she picked up her journal, hesitating for just a moment. She remembered the stories of those who faced their fears and took the leap. Slowly, she began to write. 1. I can listen to others. 2. I care deeply about my friends. 3. I am a hard worker. This small act felt monumental. Each word carried a weight that pushed against her old narrative of self-doubt. It was just a beginning, but for the first time, she felt a glimpse of hope shining through. Inspired by the book, Emily knew she needed to take action. She contemplated what first step she could take toward her self-improvement journey. After some thought, she remembered seeing a flyer at work for a public speaking class. The idea of speaking in front of others filled her with fear, but remembering the stories of those who overcame their own worries kept tugging at her heart. What do I have to lose? She whispered to herself, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. The next morning, she mustered every ounce of courage and signed up for the class. The instructor, Miss Parker, had a warm smile that instantly made Emily feel a bit at ease. As she entered the room on the first day and settled into her seat, the anxiety bubbled to the surface again. What if I mess up? What if I can't speak at all? The doubts flooded her mind, almost like a dark cloud trying to steal away the little bright light she had discovered. As the class went on, Emily listened to other students share their fears. They, too, felt nervous about speaking in front of others. With every story she heard, Emily felt a little less alone. These shared fears allowed her to see that everyone was fighting a similar battle. During the first exercise, each person had to introduce themselves and share a fun fact. When her turn came, Emily's heart raced. Taking a deep breath, she stood up and spoke. At first, her voice quivered, but she pushed through. Hi, I'm Emily, and I love to paint. Though her hands felt shaky, when she finished, a round of applause filled the room. It was a small victory, yet it felt giant to her. I did it, she thought, allowing a smile to stretch across her face. In the following weeks, Emily found her nervousness slowly fading little by little. Each class was still challenging, but she began to see small improvements. She learned to use her voice with more strength and practiced speaking in front of the mirror at home. Every night, she would pick a topic, such as her favorite book or a memorable trip, and practice until she felt comfortable. It felt strange at first, standing alone and talking to her reflection, but she pushed through, remembering how important each small win was becoming for her growth. One chilly evening, she had to present a short speech in front of the class. Her heart thumped loudly as she prepared. She stood there, reciting her points, and when she opened her mouth, words flowed more smoothly than she had anticipated. A feeling of pride washed over her as she spoke about her love for painting, sharing how it made her feel alive. When she finished, the kind smiles and applause surrounded her. Those tiny bursts of encouragement made her confidence bloom like spring flowers. After her presentation, a classmate named Jake approached her. You really did great. I could see your passion, he said, and she felt her cheeks flush with happiness. Words of praise from others lifted her spirit a bit more. In that moment, Emily knew she was on the right path. Each little win taught her that while fear might always be there, it didn't have to hold her back. With every class, Emily climbed higher on the mountain of her self-esteem, slowly but steadily becoming the person she always wanted to be. One sunny afternoon, while sitting at her desk, Emily received an email that made her heart race. It was an invitation from her boss, Mr. Thompson, to speak at the company's upcoming annual meeting. The thought of standing in front of everyone, sharing her ideas and experiences, sent a wave of panic through her body. Just a few months ago, Emily had struggled to voice even the smallest thought in meetings, and now here was this incredible opportunity. The email stated, "We think you have valuable insights to share about our recent project. Your perspective would be essential to inspire others." Reading those words, Emily felt a mix of excitement and fear. The very idea of speaking in front of her colleagues, many of whom she admired, filled her head with doubts. What if I forget what to say? What if everyone laughs at me? A torrent of worries surged through her mind. As the days passed, her anxiety only grew. She practiced her talk over and over, preparing notes and even rehearsing in front of her cat, Milo. But each time she stood in front of him, saying her words out loud, a little voice in her head whispered, "You can't do this. You'll fail." Exhausted from battling these thoughts, she decided to take a quiet walk to clear her mind. As she strolled along Riverside Park, the vibrant flowers and the gentle sound of the water helped calm her racing thoughts, even if only for a moment. But soon, doubts crept back in. What if she lost her train of thought? What if she choked on her words? What if this moment turned into a disaster? The what-ifs twisted in her stomach like a storm cloud. A wave of sadness washed over Emily as she realized she was on the brink of something significant but was so close to giving in to her fears. That night, as she lay in bed, Emily couldn't sleep. Every hour felt like a lifetime as she tossed and turned, grappling with self-doubt. Her mind replayed the moment she would stand on the stage, her palms sweating as she gripped the microphone. Would the room remain silent as she spoke, or would she hear muffled whispers and stifled laughs? She could see the concerned looks on her colleagues' faces if she stumbled over her words. The anxiety wrapped around her like a tight knot, making it harder to breathe. But just before sunrise, a flicker of resolve ignited inside her heart. Emily thought of how far she had come since that day in the bookstore. She recalled the small victories, the supportive words from her classmates, and Miss Parker's gentle reminders that perfection was not the goal. "My story matters," she whispered to herself in the quiet. "Even if it's messy, it's still my story." With this thought filling her heart, she picked up her notebook and began to write. Page after page flowed with her fears, her hopes, and the ideas she wanted to share at the meeting. As her pen glided across the paper, she felt the weight of her worries lessen bit by bit. This was more than just a presentation, it was a moment to show others the strength of believing in oneself, just like she had begun to do. Emily finally closed her notebook with new determination. It was okay to feel scared because courage was not about absence of fear but about facing it. The meeting was just around the corner, and with it came the chance to embrace her fears and take the biggest step forward in her journey. The day of the annual meeting arrived, and Emily felt like a bundle of nerves as she stood outside the conference room. Her palms were clammy, and her legs felt weak beneath her. She could hear the soft chatter of her colleagues inside, their voices growing louder as the time for her speech approached. With each fading second, her heartbeat thundered in her chest, a constant reminder of her anxiety. Taking a few deep breaths, she closed her eyes and recalled the words from the book that sparked her journey. "It's okay to feel scared, what matters is how you act," echoed in her mind. The advice had comforted her many times, and now, she needed to believe it more than ever. "I can do this. I am ready," she affirmed softly to herself, her voice barely audible. As she entered the room, her heart raced even faster. The bright lights above felt uncomfortably hot, and as she faced her audience, a wave of self-doubt crashed over her again. She spotted Mr. Thompson sitting in the front row, looking expectantly at her, and it only intensified her nervousness. What if I forget my lines? What if I flop in front of everyone? The thoughts pulsed through her brain like an endless loop. Then, her gaze began to drift around the room, and Emily saw familiar, friendly faces, her supportive co-workers who had cheered her on in the past. They had believed in her when she did not believe in herself. That realization broke through her panic and provided a tiny crack of light. She was not alone. With newfound determination, Emily took a deep breath, walked to the front, and stood behind the podium. With the microphone in her hand, she looked out at the crowd. "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Emily Johnson, and today I'm excited to share my thoughts about our recent project." The first words flowed smoothly, fueled by her determination. A little spark of joy danced inside her chest. As she continued speaking, sharing her insights and personal stories about the project, the nerves began to fade. She focused on the message she wanted to convey instead of the fear that loomed. Although she felt her heart racing, she couldn't help but notice how passionate her words were. It seemed that each sentence became a lifeline of courage, pulling her from the grips of anxiety. "This project reflects our teamwork, our dedication, and our ability to rise above challenges," she said, her voice becoming steadier with each passing moment. Then came the moment of surprise. Halfway through her speech, she noticed a familiar feeling, a sense of exhilaration mixed with a hint of fear. "If I can express my ideas without just fading into the background, then I can achieve anything," she thought fiercely. The fear that had once felt like a heavy burden now transformed into a lightness that lifted her spirit. Emily pushed forward, finding strength within herself that she hadn't known existed. When she reached the conclusion of her speech, she felt a surge of pride but still didn't know how her words had landed with her audience. Taking a deep breath, she smiled. "Thank you for listening. I hope you feel inspired to embrace challenges, just as I am learning to." The room erupted in applause, and she saw smiles all around her. In that very instant, she realized she had not just faced her fears, she had taken a leap into the unknown and came out stronger. That breakthrough moment lingered in her heart long after her speech ended. For the first time in years, Emily felt truly proud of who she was becoming. She stepped off the stage, her heart throbbing with newfound confidence, ready to embrace the next chapter of her journey. As the applause filled the room, Emily stood frozen for a moment, feeling the warmth from the supportive audience wash over her. Her heart raced from the excitement of having spoken in front of her colleagues. The faces around her reflected joy and encouragement, and she couldn't help but smile. Mr. Thompson approached her, clapping his hands with enthusiasm. "Emily, that was fantastic. Your insights were valuable, and I believe everyone felt your passion." Those words made Emily's heart swell with pride. She felt as if a huge weight had been lifted off her shoulders. In that instant, any remaining doubts about her capabilities began to crumble. She had stepped out of her comfort zone and found a powerful new voice within her. The experience marked a turning point in her journey, solidifying her belief that she was capable of much more than she had previously thought. As the meeting continued, Emily found herself engaged in conversations with her colleagues, discussing the project in greater detail. The very people who once seemed so intimidating were now friendly faces, eager to collaborate. Having successfully shared her ideas gave her a new sense of worth, making her feel like a valuable part of the team. The small victories she had achieved during the public speaking class had blossomed into something much larger. Later that week, Emily sat in her favorite coffee shop, sipping her drink while reflecting on her speech. Reviewing her notes, she felt a wave of gratitude rush over her. This wasn't just about speaking, this was about believing in myself, she thought. The nervous woman who used to hide from opportunities was evolving into someone ready to embrace change. The experience taught her that it was okay to feel nervous. It was part of growth. Recognizing her fear was no longer a sign of weakness but a pathway to conquering challenges. With this newfound mindset, she decided to take on another project at work, something that would stretch her skills even further. This time, instead of dread, she felt excited at the prospect of facing another challenge head-on. Weeks later, Emily volunteered to lead a team meeting. She prepared diligently, using the same techniques that had worked for her before. As she stepped into the room to present her ideas, she noticed a difference within herself. This time, she felt empowered and ready. She spoke clearly about her vision and encouraged team input. Every positive response filled her with energy, reinforcing the lesson that she was not just capable but also inspiring others. Each moment of success built her resilience. When challenges arose, Emily confronted them with a newfound confidence. Her self-doubt began to slip away like an old coat that no longer fit. She started viewing setbacks as learning opportunities rather than failures. Every time her heart raced in a tough situation, she tapped into that well of courage she had found during her speech. And with every interaction, Emily's belief in her abilities grew stronger. The barriers that had once held her back, a deep-rooted fear of failure and self-doubt, began to dissolve. Now, she wasn't just living life, she was actively shaping her own journey. As she continued to take action, anchor herself in her progress, and embrace every challenge, the vision of her potential emerged clearer than ever before. She was ready to take charge, not just for herself but to inspire others along the way. In the weeks following her successful speech, Emily found herself reflecting on the journey she had taken. Each day felt surprisingly different. She noticed how her perspective on life was changing. Challenges that once seemed daunting now appeared as opportunities for growth. She began to embrace the unknown, seeing it as a chance to learn instead of a reason to retreat in fear. However, new challenges did arise. One morning, she was assigned to lead a major project that required collaboration with departments she had not worked closely with before. While her heart raced at the thought, she reminded herself of the lesson she had learned from her recent experience. This was not just a hurdle, it was an invitation to connect and grow. Emily took a moment to breathe deeply and ground herself. This is an opportunity to shine, she decided, pushing aside the familiar urge to panic. She began to organize and execute a plan for the project, encouraging input from her teammates. When some issues arose, Emily faced them with a calm determination. Instead of succumbing to anxiety, she referred back to the positive habits she had developed, taking a step back, assessing the situation, and seeking collaboration. "Let's solve this together," she said during one challenging moment, and her team responded positively, rallying around her. In her personal life, Emily also felt the shift. She began exploring activities that she had previously avoided due to her anxiety. Along with her friends, she signed up for a local art class, allowing her creativity to flourish. Painting had always been a passion, but for years, she had held back, afraid of what others might think. Each brushstroke felt liberating, releasing her inhibitions. In class, she shared her artwork openly, receiving compliments that warmed her heart and reinforced her growth. It was a beautiful reminder that vulnerability could lead to connection and joy. At night, when she settled into bed, reflecting on her day, she noticed a new spark of hope lighting her thoughts. She took the time to acknowledge her achievements, no matter how small they seemed. Writing in her journal became a routine, where she recorded not just her goals for the next day, but also celebrations of her successes, speaking up in a meeting, effectively leading a group, and simply enjoying time with friends without anxiety spoiling the moment. She noticed how each entry helped brighten her spirit, giving her clarity and focus. Emily's earlier fears slowly transformed into a recognition of her strength. She learned that setbacks would inevitably happen, but she could approach them differently now. They no longer defined her. Each day, she reminded herself, I am growing. I can learn and improve. It felt liberating. Self-confidence was no longer just a fleeting feeling, it began to grow roots, blossoming into a belief that she had not only the ability to face challenges but also the resilience to bounce back from them. Feeling this new sense of assurance, Emily recognized how she was becoming the artist of her life, painting her future with vibrant colors of confidence and courage. The once timid woman was learning to embrace the unpredictable brushstrokes that defined her journey, seeing beauty even in what once felt chaotic. Now, every day was a canvas waiting for her to create something new. With her newfound confidence and positive mindset, Emily started to feel a deep desire to share her journey with others. She recalled all the moments when she had felt lost, stuck in self-doubt, and how transformative her path had been since she embraced her fears. If I can help even just one person, she thought, then my experiences will mean so much more. One afternoon, while chatting over coffee with her friend Sarah, who had been struggling with anxiety about public speaking, Emily felt a spark of inspiration. She began to share her insights, the techniques she had learned, the power of taking small steps, and the importance of believing in oneself. Sarah listened intently, her eyes lighting up with hope and understanding. Emily realized the power of her words as she described her journey. Maybe you could try speaking in front of a small group first, Emily suggested gently. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just share what you love so others can feel that passion too. Sarah smiled, encouraged, and thanked Emily for her support. That simple moment felt significant to both of them. Emily recognized that she could help someone else take a step toward their own growth journey. Feeling motivated, Emily had another idea. With her love for art and personal growth, she decided to start a blog to connect with others. She chose a name that resonated with her, Brave Blossoms. Each post would reflect her experiences, share practical tips, and provide encouragement for those facing their own struggles. Emily felt excited to write, pouring her heart into each entry. She wrote about her journey of overcoming self-doubt, tips for public speaking, and even stories about her painting class experiences. When she published her first post, she felt a mix of fear and excitement. It felt like stepping onto a stage again, but she reminded herself that this was about connection and growth. The response was heartwarming. Friends, colleagues, and even strangers began to comment, sharing their own fears and thanking her for her honesty and encouragement. Emily smiled as she read each message, realizing the impact of her words. Encouraged by the feedback, Emily decided to take her journey a step further by creating a YouTube channel. She wanted to share her ideas in a more personal way and reach an even broader audience. In her videos, she spoke openly about her challenges, how she overcame them, and the techniques that helped her grow. With each video, she became more comfortable in front of the camera, drawing on the confidence she had built through her experiences. As her channel started to grow, Emily received messages from viewers who felt inspired by her story. Many shared how her encouragement motivated them to conquer their fears and embrace their dreams. Every message was a reminder of how far she had come. It was more than just about her journey, it was about creating a community of support and positivity. Through mentoring friends and sharing her journey online, Emily discovered that teaching was as valuable as learning. When she took the time to help others, she reinforced her own lessons. Each encouraging word she offered filled her with a sense of purpose. The struggles that had once felt so consuming now became tools she could use to uplift others. Reflecting on her growth, Emily recognized the strength she had gained through her journey. The timid woman who had once shied away from challenges was transforming into someone who empowered others to take steps towards their goals. Now, Emily not only continued to blossom herself but also helped those around her to bloom as well. Both her life and the lives she touched became brighter, creating a ripple effect of courage and positivity that spread far beyond her journey. She felt proud, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, knowing she had the power to inspire, uplift, and connect with others on their own journeys. As the months went by, Emily felt profound changes in her life. She had learned to embrace the powerful journey of personal growth, and it showed in her everyday experiences. Recently, she had led a successful project at work that not only met its deadlines but also exceeded everyone's expectations. The recognition she received felt rewarding, but more importantly, it amplified her sense of self-worth. She came to understand that success wasn't solely about the outcome but about the courage it took to face each challenge. With each new opportunity, Emily approached her work with a different perspective. No longer did she freeze under pressure or shy away from responsibility. Instead, she saw challenges as essential steps in her growth. Every meeting became a space for collaboration, and every project became a chance to shine. She often reflected on her prior struggles, amazed at the distance she had traveled. Her past self, overwhelmed by anxiety and self-doubt, felt like a distant memory. Now, Emily was not just a participant but a leader, guiding her team with confidence and empathy. Outside of work, her blog and YouTube channel flourished. Emily dedicated herself to connecting with her audience, sharing stories of resilience and growth. The messages she received became lifelines, with viewers sharing how their own lives were changing due to the courage they found in her words. Each comment reminded her of the impact kindness and support could have. The more she encouraged others, the stronger her own resolve became. She began organizing online workshops, bringing people together to discuss their fears and celebrate their victories. The exchanges were filled with laughter, tears, hope, and healing. Emily also took time for self-reflection, often journaling about her experiences and aspirations. She wrote about the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the dreams waiting to be pursued. Each night, she would write down moments of gratitude, acknowledging not only her accomplishments but also the people, friends, colleagues, and viewers who had supported her along the way. This practice deepened her fulfillment, helping her recognize that success is woven from community and shared experiences. Watching her friend Sarah shine in her own endeavors filled Emily with joy. Sarah's self-confidence grew as she delivered her first presentation. Emily had been there to cheer her on, thrilled to see how far her friend had come since their first conversation over coffee. The connection they shared was a testament to how uplifting others can empower oneself. As Emily gazed forward, she understood that personal growth was not a destination but an ongoing journey. There would always be new mountains to climb and challenges to embrace. With every layer peeled back, she learned more about herself, expanding not just her skills, but also her heart. Each challenge now felt like an opportunity to deepen her understanding of who she was and who she longed to be. Empowered and optimistic, Emily felt ready to face life's uncertainties. The fear that once lingered at the edges of her mind had been replaced by a vibrant sense of determination. She stood tall, her past shaping her but not defining her. With the knowledge that she could navigate any storm with a compassionate heart and a clear mind, she embraced the exciting future ahead. The life she had built, rooted in courage and kindness, not only enriched her own existence but also created ripples of positivity around her. Emily knew that whatever awaited her next, she possessed the inner strength and resilience to rise to the occasion. She smiled, ready to keep learning and growing, emboldened to take on the world and inspire others with the unwavering spirit she had discovered within herself.